What is going on, everybody? Trevor the Aviator back here again for today, where currently I am at Dallas Fort Worth International Airport after an amazing time down here in Texas. For tonight's flight, I am going to be taking the Spirit Airlines Airbus A320neo back to Chicago O'Hare for a night flight in which I'll be arriving at about 1 a.m. So in a few moments, I'm going to be heading my way through security, but before I do, I actually will give you guys a little bit of taste of the state of Texas. And then I will show you guys behind security and show you guys some footage before we board our plane here later tonight. So the place I just showed you guys actually came from the Fort Worth stockyards here in the area, which is a popular tourist place that people go when they end up visiting this area. I would highly recommend going to this place as you would get a taste of the cowboy culture. Okay, so I just ended up passing through security, and sure enough, it was an absolute breeze. It was probably the shortest that I have ever experienced for security. If you happen to take Spirit Airlines, both times that I ended up flying them, they seem to have their own security lines, and sure enough, in under 5 minutes that I was through security, which is amazing. Now I'm going to be doing some plane spotting around the airport and some looking around before headed to our gate before we board for tonight's flight. As I did some exploring around the airport, I also took the opportunity as well to do a little bit of plane spotting as I had quite a bit of time before my flight would end up departing. And with this, it gave me the opportunity as well to explore around some of the airport. And I will say, this airport is huge and one of the bigger airports that I have been to. It truly does give a big welcome to Texas, as the saying goes, everything is bigger in Texas. After exploring around and doing some plane spotting, I began to head towards my gate where I will be leaving from Terminal E, in which tonight's flight will be a very late one, as I will be taking another Spirit Airbus A320 back up to Chicago O'Hare. Unfortunately, due to some issues going on with my phone at the time that I recorded this, I was not able to get a full clip of the entire takeoff, which stinks. But besides that, though, after taking off, I was greeted by a very spectacular view of the entire Dallas area. Probably of all the places that I have been to, this is probably one of the coolest places, in my opinion, to see from up in the air at night, as there are just so many lights that are around. And also, I ended up seeing downtown Dallas as well, and pretty much being able to see all of the highlights of the surrounding area, including an aerial view of DFW Airport, which just reminds me as to just how big the airport is and how big this city is. I guess it is true that everything is bigger in Texas. I will say on this trip, quite a number of things were indeed bigger down here. That is for sure. But seeing this place though at night was just spectacular. And also as well, the weather was just great and there was nothing in terms of severe weather in that for the duration of the entire flight. After getting out of the Dallas area, we began to head out of Texas and into southeastern Oklahoma before headed our way into northwest Arkansas, where the Ozark Mountains are located. Unfortunately, at nighttime, the Ozarks, you cannot really see the mountains that are below. So with that, it is basically pitch black when you fly over the mountains. However, though, there were still a couple of towns that were nearby, and with that, it was pretty nice to see a couple of these smaller towns. But I wish I could have been able to see the mountains. So if this was in the daytime, it would have been pretty cool to see. But with night, though, it is more boring, I would say. As far as the seat goes for my flight, I will say it was not the most comfortable seat that I was in, but I did not feel uncomfortable in it either. I will say this seat could be better, but it could be worse. And also with my experience, I knew this was not going to be like flying on, let's say, Delta or United. But that's kind of what you would end up paying for flying an airline like Spirit. And I have heard myself that it is not the greatest in terms of the experience, whether it's the seats or anything along the lines like that. But based on my experience, I will say it is pretty decent. Definitely is not the greatest, but it definitely will do for the flight. I would say it wasn't bad. After passing through northwest Arkansas, we began to head our way into southeastern Missouri. And with this, we flew pretty much along Interstate 44 for the majority of the state of Missouri, as we were headed our way up towards Chicago. And eventually, we began to head our way nearby the St. Louis area, and then eventually go into Illinois, where in a little bit, we actually will begin our descent into Chicago O'Hare for a very late night arrival into the airport. after landing here in Chicago, I will say this is probably the emptiest that I have ever seen here at O'Hare, as it was about 1 in the morning when we ended up landing. So it was very, very late. To add things on with that, little did I realize after we landed, another plane at the gate we were supposed to be at ended up having a mechanical issue, according to the airline. So, with that happening, we were stranded out on the taxiway for another 45 minutes to an hour, but it felt so much longer than that. But besides that, though, I will say overall, my flight for this, it was a pretty decent experience. Again, yes, it is not on this level of United or American, but I also did not expect that either. And I know the seats are also not the greatest either, but it is at least bearable, in my opinion, to be on. And personally, I would fly Spirit Airlines again at some point. I just don't know when. But most importantly, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys stick around to here, thank you very much for watching. And if you guys are interested in watching some more of my content, then go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Until then, this is Trevor the Aviator from Chicago O'Hare International Airport. Bye, everybody!